Oh. And then I'm going to shut my video off. There we go. So if you are here for 5 hacks for ending sugar cravings, you're in the right place. If you're not here for that, you're still in the right place. My dog here is having a sugar craving apparently. So, all right. So I always like to ask an icebreaker question first, just to kind of get us all in community with each other. So if you could eat only one food again for the rest of your life, what is it?
I think I'd have to eat an orange.
You'd eat an orange for the rest of your life. Very cool.
I love oranges.
Okay, how about, is ice cream on that list?
It's if it's on your list, it's on the list.
One food.
How about you, Lynn
For
Marie?
nutrition and.
So tacos is what comes to mind for me.
Yep, there you go. Because for me, it was pizza.
Ah, nice.
You know, and you can make crust out of whatever you want. You could make your sauce out of what you could put the toppings. So that's mine.
Okay.
During this class,
Miss Lynn, we can't hear you.
Yeah, it cut out.
Yeah. Lynn.
Lynn, who?
That's the last name, the bird, Johnson.
Oh, that's her.
Uh-huh. It's because you like following on that to that. There we go.
all right, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's all send a prayer that whatever the saint is for internet, that
Where there is one, yeah.
that they keep it up. All right, so I'm going to go back to my share screen.
keep Satan away.
Yeah, there you go.
Oops.
And I am going to start where did it here? And that's no, I want that. Where's the recording button?
It's on your phone. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're recording. All right. So now I'm going to shut my video off again. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So now when I said make sure to silence your phones, I didn't mean for me to silence myself. But I want phones to be silenced so that we can all commit to being here fully present in this moment. And if you have the guidebook or a notebook and pen ready, have this ready to take notes. It's my intention to share with you information about how your body works, some reasons you may crave sweet things, what sugar addiction is, and some ways to avoid those cravings. And there will be a time of Q&A after the presentation, so make sure to write your questions down. If you're not acquainted with who I am, my name is Lynn DeBoer Johnson. I'm a graduate of the New Institute of Nutritional Endocrinology. I'm also in an alchemical herbalism class the school is called Evolutionary Herbalism. And I'm also a graduate of the Somagetics Institute in transpersonal energy healing. And I'm the mother of 7, grandmother to 8, almost 9, wife to 1. I have more dogs and cats than I care to imagine. I live on a little acreage along the Minnesota-Iowa border. And so that's just a little bit about me. So you kind of know who is this person that thinks that they can share this stuff with you. So one thing we probably all realize is sugar is everywhere. From maybe those donuts in the break room to the added sugary syrup you get in your favorite coffee from the local coffee shop. Added sugar can leave you craving more after just a simple meal. So does that morning Danish pastry leave you craving another treat 2 hours later? Do you grab a candy bar to cope with your afternoon slump and then reach for a cola to get out of your post-slump slump? So if you found that munching sugary snacks just makes you crave more of them, you're not alone. Eating lots of simple carbohydrates without the backup of proteins or fats can quickly satisfy hunger and give your body a short-term energy boost. But they almost as quickly leave you famished again and wanting more. So how can you stop sugar cravings once and for all? If you don't want to change up every area of your diet and skip out on every one of your favorites to deal with your sugar cravings, there are some hacks that can help you deal with the problem. There are simple changes you can make that help you avoid those sugar cravings and make choices that reflect your health and wellness goals. So, why do we crave sugar? There are many reasons why we go for sweet things. Sugar is pretty amazing. It's the purest form of energy available to you, and unlike fats and proteins, can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. Sugar quite literally feeds your brain, and it tastes great too. You need sugar to live, but you don't need added sugar. When sugar is in everything, from bread to peanut butter to pasta sauce, it can start to change the way you interpret food. It can become more like an addiction than a simple food choice. But for some of us, it feels like we need sugar desperately. In fact, researchers have found that sugar lowers both opioid and dopamine receptor availability in your brain. So put simply, sugar activates the reward and pleasure centers of your brain the same way addictive substances do. That appetite may be hardwired. Sweet is the first taste humans prefer from birth. It's comforting and provides a natural high for our bodies. Each time we take a hit of sugar, it reinforces that same addiction over and over again. Having a sweet treat every once in a while doesn't usually do much harm, but when it starts to overwhelm you and make it hard to think about anything else, your cravings may have gotten a little bit out of control. Too much sugar can not only cause you to gain weight, but it can also leave you with high blood pressure, damage to your stomach, and issues processing food. You may also start to crave sugar as your body's way of signaling that it needs a boost of energy. If you've ever been hard at work and suddenly found yourself hitting a wall with a rush of sugar, craving to boot, your body is crying out for something that will give it some more energy. When you're having a bad day, or if your body doesn't feel great, you may also crave sugar. Carbohydrates stimulate the release of the feel-good brain chemical serotonin. Sugar is a carbohydrate, but carbohydrates come in other forms too, such as whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, which have fiber and nutrients your body needs. When you eat sugar, it releases a burst of serotonin, which makes you feel better for a time. While it may feel like the best choice to comfort yourself, you might be ignoring your body's real signals. The taste of sugar also releases endorphins that calm and relax us and offer a natural high. And sweets just taste good too. That preference gets reinforced when you reward yourself with sweet treats, which can make you crave it even more. With all that going for it, why wouldn't we crave sugar? The problem comes not when we indulge in a sweet treat now and then, but when we overdo it. That's easy to do when sugar is added to many processed foods, including breads, yogurt, juices, and sauces. And it's no wonder we consume so much of this stuff. According to the American Heart Association, the average American adult eats somewhere between 22 and 30 teaspoons worth of added sugar in a day. Women and children should only be eating about 6 teaspoons, which is 25 grams of sugar a day. Men's intake should only be slightly higher at 9 teaspoons, which is 36 grams. 9 teaspoons of sugar may sound like a lot, and it is, but it's also what you drink in an average 12-ounce can of soda. You often crave sugar when your body needs other types of nourishment. You might find that you actually need more protein, fruits, or veggies to fill the appropriate spaces in your meal plan. Reducing your sugar intake can be a positive step toward improving your overall health. It can help with digestive issues like irritable bowel and acid reflux, but that's not all. Eating less sugar can also improve anxiety and stress, reduce fatigue, ease joint pain, and cut down on headaches and migraines. Again, according to the American Heart Association, 8 out of 10 adults are trying to reduce the amount of sugar they eat, but it's not easy. For people who've become chemically dependent on sugar, it's even harder. So what is sugar addiction? Plenty of people have a sweet tooth. So how do you know if you're addicted to sugar? Is there an invisible threshold that you cross between cookie number 1 and cookie number 2? You cannot be diagnosed with a sugar addiction, at least not yet. But self-reflection and an honest conversation with a healthcare provider is the best way to start a handle on the issue. The key features of sugar addiction are volume, frequency, and feelings. So ask yourself these questions. Do you feel like you don't have control over how much sugar you eat? Do you think about sugar all day? Are you eating sugar throughout the day? Or do you feel that you're eating more sugar than you should? Are you eating so much sugar that you're making yourself sick to your stomach? Do you eat sugary foods you don't even like just to get a boost? If you're answering yes to any of these questions, chances are you are dealing with dependency. It's even more likely if you're attempting to get or stay sober in other areas of your life. People that have struggled with an addiction to alcohol, for example, will often turn to sweets to replace it. So sugar addiction really is a chemical imbalance. Unaddressed, the long-term consequences can include elevated risks of type 2 diabetes, overweight or obesity, fatty liver disease, chronic inflammation, heart disease, stroke, and pancreatitis. Unlike many other substance use disorders, your body needs sugar. It just doesn't need added sugars. That makes managing your sugar dependence a bit tricky. Abstaining from the stuff is impossible. So here are some top 5 hacks to avoid sugar cravings. Dealing with sugar cravings can wreck your entire day. Even if you're swamped with tasks, have people vying for your attention, and have your day planned out from start to finish, sugar cravings can creep in and take over. Before you know it, all you can think about is that last mini candy bar in the freezer and how badly you want it. Dealing with sugar cravings goes beyond a simple physical response to something mental and emotional. When you take steps to avoid and get rid of sugar cravings, you free up your body and mind to do bigger and better things each day. When it comes to breaking a sugar addiction, there's no quick fix. You're making a significant lifestyle change, and it will take time and effort. And so I've compiled a list of the mental, physical, and dietary changes that will help you fend off sugar cravings and help you manage your eating habits. So, first one is increase your fiber intake. Sometimes the best advice is also the most obvious. If you're getting in the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, protein and high fiber foods, it will help stabilize your blood sugar. As you build a balanced diet, be aware that there are added sugars lurking in most highly processed foods. This means that you may be eating a lot more sugar than you realize. Fiber may not quite be a one-stop shop to fix all your cravings, but it's pretty close. There are a whole host of fiber-rich foods that help keep you full and keep those cravings at bay. Rather than turning to sugar to fill your body with those feel-good chemicals, foods like broccoli, beans, berries, and sweet potatoes release the same type of chemicals as sugar. Keep fruit handy for when sugar cravings hit. You'll get fiber and nutrients along with some sweetness. And stock up on foods like nuts, seeds, and dried fruits. Have them handy so you reach for them instead of reaching for the old whatever sugary something is that you may have had. Sugar cravings can start to cause more serious issues when you're dealing with high blood sugar, diabetes, and prediabetes. Fiber, specifically soluble fiber, which is found in oats, peas, beans, and apples, regulates blood sugar and prevents the absorption of those sugars into the bloodstream. Fiber can help you keep off excess weight as well, since sugar has a tendency to change into fat that clings to your body and makes you gain weight. Beating back those sugar cravings with fiber instead can give you better control over your weight and body composition. Everything seems harder when you're running on only a few hours of sleep. You already know that a good night's sleep is crucial to your health, but not nearly enough of us realize how connected our sleep habits are to our sugar cravings. When your body is tired, it often grasps for those sugary drinks and foods to give you a burst of energy to make it through the day. Sleep is the basis for nearly every aspect of health, including beating back those cravings that haunt you throughout the day. Several studies have shown that a lack of sleep actually strengthens the way the brain functions and desires those calorie-rich foods. Your brain's addiction centers are stronger when you're lacking sleep. Those same cravings that might seem mild when you're running on plenty of sleep can overwhelm you when you're lacking sleep. You have two hormones in your stomach, leptin and ghrelin. Leptin signals to your brain that you're full. Ghrelin, on the other hand, sends the message that you're hungry. Your ghrelin levels increase when you don't have good sleep. So you find yourself waking up and saying, I want that donut, instead of having a balanced breakfast. To make sure you get plenty of good quality sleep each night and are ready to face the challenges of the day, start incorporating a nighttime routine into your evening. Set aside time each night to get a full 7 to 8 hours of sleep, with a cushion to get through all your hygiene habits before crawling into bed. Unwind and relax before getting under the covers, and make sure to put aside time to journal or do yoga as a way to wrap up the day. Turn on some white noise to help you relax and drift off to dreamland. When your alarm goes off in the morning, make it a point to get out of bed the first time it sounds. You'll train your body and start to get into a full rhythm that allows you to get the best sleep possible and avoid those cravings the next morning. It's harder to make good choices when you're tired, and even harder to pass up the short-term energy boost sugary foods offer. Being well rested will reduce your sugar cravings, and when they do happen, make them easier to ignore. There's nothing quite like a pint of ice cream when you've had a long day at work, or your body is just feeling like all worn down and everything seems stressful. Reducing your stress levels can help you eat back sugar cravings fast. When it comes to reducing your stress levels, it can feel like the only way you'll be able to distress is to cut people out of your life entirely and live in isolation. With just a little bit of creativity, you won't have to be stuck in a cave just to keep stress out of your life. Start each day with a quality morning routine. Chaos and disorganization can quickly lead to stress, and the source of much of that disorganization stems from the way your day starts. Keeping yourself organized from the moment you wake up is one small step toward keeping stress at bay. Continue on with these routines throughout your day. Set a schedule for your nighttime routine as well, so you can be as organized as possible, even as you're getting ready to go to bed. Stress can follow you into sleep if you don't make an effort to keep it at bay throughout the day. Take time out of your day to spend on your self-care routines. Whether that's just an unbothered session of folding laundry or a cup of tea and a bubble bath before bed, self-care routines help you unwind and find peace in each day. Do yoga or spend time journaling as a way to unwind. The physical movement from something low intensity moves your muscles and lets you distress. Journaling lets you pour out all the things that happen throughout the day, so you aren't going to bed stressed or holding on to the stress. Slow down for 1 week. Focus on your sugar cravings and think about what you're eating. Diet mayhem often results from lack of planning, so slow down, plan, and eat what you intend to eat instead of eating when you're desperate. The gut is seen as a second brain in the body, and the bacteria that populate it have a massive impact on your health, both mental and physical. Within the gut, unhealthy bacteria can start to flourish. They're fed primarily on the sugars that you take in through different types of foods. The more you give in to those sugar cravings and add more sugar to your diet, the more intense those unhealthy bacteria can become. This can quickly become a very unhealthy and unsustainable cycle. The more sugar you eat, the more unhealthy bacteria spring up, and the more you crave sugar. To break the cycle, you can start to introduce probiotics and fermented foods that stimulate gut health and good gut bacteria. If you're not a big fan of pickles, sauerkraut, and yogurt, you can choose to do a probiotic supplement instead. Mixing the two and having some fermented foods alongside a probiotic supplement is the best way to restore your gut health and balance and beat off those cravings. Take care that your fermented foods aren't packed with added sugar. Many types of yogurt, while it's still containing those live cultures, are actually full of added sugar. In your rush to go out and do all the things, you can often skip meals until your body is starving for food of any kind. Hustling out the door in the morning, rushing back to the office, or skipping supper just because it's too much of a hassle can be a detriment to your overall health and especially your blood sugar. Whether it's a side effect of a busy life or a conscious choice, skipping meals opens the door to sugar cravings. It happens to all of us from time to time. If you don't eat all day because you're busy or you're not hungry, you'll be way past hungry by the time you get home. You'll end up having one big meal right before bed or stopping at a drive-through. As you skip meals, your blood sugar starts to dip. You then start craving those sugary foods, which will boost it fast. Skipping meals might seem like the easiest way to avoid sugar and lose weight, but it can actually make the cravings worse. Waiting too long between meals may set you up to choose sugary, fatty foods that cut your hunger. Instead, eating every 3 to 5 hours can help keep blood sugar stable and help you avoid irrational and eating behavior. Your best bets: choose protein, fiber-rich foods like whole grains and produce. Eating nourishing food consistently throughout the day prevents you from getting too hungry, which enables you to make better food choices. If you peruse the World Wide Web, you'll see plenty of people claiming that you'll feel so much better if you just stop eating, fill in the blank, and I'm not convinced. Certainly, if you have a lactose intolerance or an allergy, consider eliminating dairy. If you have a gluten intolerance or are celiac, consider eliminating gluten. But don't cut out food groups that aren't harming you. If you do, you'll have to really focus then on getting the calcium, the magnesium, and the vitamin D that you're lacking as a result. That doesn't serve you well and sets you up for failure. It's tough, but nowadays you have all kinds of meal replacement shakes and bars, convenience cheese sticks and yogurts, those types of things. There are also lots of fast food alternatives now, like meal prep kits and healthy heat and eat subscription services. Instead of waiting for your body to be starving and then packing in as much food as you can, take the time out of your day to eat a few smaller meals. Make sure that these meals are packed with good foods like leafy greens, berries, yogurt, and other fermented foods as well. As you eat smaller meals, you'll see your blood sugar even out and starve out those cravings. Don't skip out on breakfast. Pack as much protein as you can into each meal you eat to continue leveling out that blood sugar. One of the questions I often hear is, but won't eating more often mean overeating? Not if you would follow the advice to break up your meals. For instance, have part of your breakfast, like a small cup of overnight oats with some nut butter, perhaps, and save some smoothie for a mid-morning snack. Break up lunch the same way to help avoid a mid-afternoon slump. So this is almost my favorite part. This is where I get to teach you about an herb, and we're talking about holy basil. Holy basil, also known as tulsi, it is one of the most sacred plants in the Indian tradition. In Sanskrit, its name translates as the incomparable one, alluding to its importance in Ayurvedic medicine and Indian spiritual practice. Holy basil has a stimulating and uplifting influence on the mind, heart, and body. With its numerous applications and therapeutic uses, it has become a beloved plant integrated into my materia medica. Like many other essential oil-rich plants, holy basil has an affinity for the digestive and nervous systems. It also benefits the upper respiratory tract as well. Less of an organ affinity and more of a biochemical effect, holy basil is scientifically proven to benefit the insulin receptors on the cells by increasing insulin sensitivity. Insulin is a hormone secreted by the pancreas. When you eat starchy foods or sugars, your blood sugar levels rise, and in response, the pancreas secretes insulin to bind to the cell receptor so that the sugar can move from the blood and into the cell for energy. As a result, your blood sugar levels lower and stabilize. In the case of insulin resistance, the blood sugar binding site on the cell receptor becomes resistant to insulin, meaning that when it binds, the doorway to the cell doesn't open and sugar is unable to enter. This can occur when blood sugar has been consistently high for a long time. When your blood sugar remains high, it can lead to type 2 diabetes. Holy basil resensitizes those cellular receptors to insulin so that blood sugar levels can lower. This is a fairly unique herbal property shared by herbs like devil's club and goat's rue. One of holy basil's most popular associations is as an adaptogen. Adaptogens help your body cope with and adapt to stress, typically by acting on the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, other attributes of the endocrine system, and/or the nervous system. Holy basil's adaptogenic property is based on its influence on the nervous and endocrine systems and helping the body adapt to various stressors, such as overstimulation and oxidative stress. By improving your stress response, you develop a more even-keeled disposition that does not get dysregulated by stress as easily. By clearing the mind and uplifting the spirit, holy basil helps you develop healthier ways to cope with and respond to stress. Holy basil's adaptogenic property connects with its property as it's called a rasayana, which according to Ayurveda helps to rejuvenate and revitalize a depleted, worn, and burned out person. Rasayana is essentially a rejuvenative tonic herb. Sure, I'm not losing my spot here. In India, holy basil is considered one of the most sacred plants used to promote longevity and perfect one's health, as well as spiritual practice. It is said to possess the pure energy of sattva, or promoting overall balance and purity. as well as cleansing and maintaining the balance of the chakras. In a way, everything about this plant is considered spiritual and holy. And in that way, it's said to feed the holy within us and thus strengthens the spiritual side of our lives. Hold on one second.
Children.
The pure joy of children's voices. So kind of to reiterate there, in a way, everything about this plant is considered spiritual and holy. And in that way, it's said to feed the holy within us and thus strengthens the spiritual side of our lives. Though to me, this isn't a passive thing, but rather requires us to meet the herb halfway and consciously connect with it on this level. In this way, I've used it to help people reconnect to their spiritual life, to be re-inspired by a spiritual practice like prayer, meditation, qigong, or for people that feel distance from that part of themselves, from over-identification with the more mundane aspects of life. To me, I feel like it helps us to, pardon me, it helps us to see how everything is spiritual. And we need to only learn to cultivate the perception to see life as such, that it's all around us all the time. We just have to learn to see it. Holy basil has a distinctly uplifting energy, and when you drink holy basil tea, you feel happy and light in the heart and mind. These qualities are a great representative of a plant ruled by Jupiter. This planet is associated with faith, belief, and devotion to a higher purpose. Jupiter is a gas planet, and herbs ruled by this planet, like holy basil, tend to have an upwards and outwards quality to them, both in how they affect us physiologically, like a circulatory stimulant diaphoretic, which produces sweating, as well as more esoterically, helping to expand your consciousness beyond the self. And I'm not talking mind expanding drugs. Jupiter is considered the greater benefic, bestowing upon us a blessing as well as a protection from harm. This is to me precisely what holy basil does. It uplifts and calms us. It blesses us with a spiritual orientation in the mind, and it clearly protects us physically in a myriad of ways with its antioxidant, antimicrobial, expectorant, diaphoretic, nervine, and adaptogenic properties. It is interesting to note that the antioxidant protection is highest in the liver, and Jupiter is the governing planet of the liver. In short, the feeling of Jupiter is happiness. And in my opinion, holy basil clearly supports us in that most noble pursuit. This is likely why it's so effective at treating certain types of depression. This plant has a long-standing usage in meditation and in assisting yogis with their focus. Holy basil is likely helpful here because of its nootropic action, which improves mental focus and clarity of the mind and heart. While holy basil is gently relaxing, it will not make you drowsy, which is the perfect herb for meditation. Again, helping to instill faith and belief in something greater than the self is an inherently Jupiter concept. I also associate holy basil with the fire element. You can spot some classic fire signs with its serrated leaf margins, pungent taste, and stimulating circulatory expectorant and diaphoretic properties. Ultimately, holy basil stimulates a lot of attributes in the body, which is a core trait of the fire element. It clears cold and damp phlegm, both from the respiratory tract and from the mind. Something also commonly associated with metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance as well. So now we'll go on to something more practical, like the daily schedule. There are a few key schedule changes you can make to ensure you've got the best chance at beating back those sugar cravings. One of the best ways to manage sugar cravings is to stop them before they start. So breakfast is one of the most crucial meals of the day and is a key factor in keeping your blood sugar at sustainable levels during the day ahead. You don't have to make yourself a full-course meal as you're trying to get out the door, but be sure to have a good breakfast to start your day. Sometimes you think you're hungry, and really, you're just thirsty. Hydration is especially important when you're trying to kick a sugar habit. If you have concentrated sugar in your bloodstream, you can dilute that down with the water. That will help reduce blood sugar peaks and valleys, which in turn helps keep cravings managed. Also, you may need to rethink your drinks. They can be a major source of sugar, whether it's a soda, a latte, or juice. Try a sparkling water or just plain water instead. There's no greater temptation than a candy bar in the break room when you're sitting at your desk in the middle of the afternoon. If you're used to getting up and grabbing that sweet treat, try getting up and going for a walk instead. Breaking the cycle and reorienting your brain is a simple way to get out of the groove and into something new that doesn't play into those same cravings. When a sugar craving hits, walk away. Take a walk around the block or do something to change the scenery, to take your mind off the food you're craving. Stress hormones play a big role in sugar cravings. Exercise is a proven stress reducer and a great way to calm sweet cravings. Exercise will help decrease your ghrelin levels. It can also help you to be more tired, get to sleep, and stay asleep a little bit longer, which also reduces cravings. Exercise doesn't have to be vigorous to be helpful either. Everybody's level of athleticism and pain tolerance is different. I never tell people they have to hop on the treadmill, especially if you have something like fibromyalgia, for example. And you can't run, you can do some seated exercises instead, or go for a light walk, whatever you're able to do. Things like yoga, tai chi, light stretching, they'll help too. Just moving your body will help you reduce those stress hormones. When you're investing time and effort in intentional movement, you tend to be more mindful about what you eat. It might be hard when you first start, but getting all the sugary processed foods out of your house is a simple first step toward breaking the cycle. Instead of constantly having them in an easily accessible place, the temptation is minimized. Stick as much as you can to whole foods that are lower in carbohydrates to continue cutting down on sugar cravings. Skip artificial sweeteners. They don't necessarily lessen cravings for sugar, and they haven't demonstrated a positive effect on our obesity epidemic. Improvising tends not to work out very well for those of us with a raging sweet tooth, whether we're at the grocery store or standing in front of the fridge. Not everybody's a home chef, and that's okay, but it's important to invest the time to plan a grocery list, buy meal prep friendly foods and healthy snacks, and know what you're going to have each day of the week. It's about getting into that pattern. Do you grab a candy every time you walk past your coworker's candy bowl? Or help yourself to the leftover bits of toast or pastry that your kids leave in the morning? Do you always order a margarita at that one great hole-in-the-wall restaurant? It's really easy to eat or overeat sweets without realizing it, especially if you're grazing or mindlessly snacking. You might want to consider food journaling. You can manage what you monitor. If you don't realize what you're doing, you can't manage it. Now, if you have a history of anorexia or bulimia, food journaling might be a trigger. If that's the case for you, either skip this tip or try adjusting your approach. Instead of noting the amount of food eaten and calories consumed, for example, try checking off a box every time you eat a serving of vegetables or drink 8 ounces of water. Eat a bit of what you're craving, maybe a small cookie or a fun-sized candy bar. Enjoying a little of what you love can help you steer clear of feeling denied. Try to stick to a 150 calorie threshold if you can't find a small serving size. Then split your treat with a friend or friends. If the idea of stopping at a cookie or a baby candy bar seems impossible, you can still fill yourself up and satisfy a sugar craving too. I like combining the craving food with a helpful one. I love chocolate, for example, so sometimes I'll dip a banana in chocolate sauce, and that gives me what I'm craving. Or I mix some almonds with chocolate chips. You'll soothe your craving and get healthy nutrients from those good-for-you foods. If you need a sugar splurge, pick a wonderful, decadent, sugary food, but keep it small. For example, choose a small dark chocolate truffle instead of a king-size candy bar. Then savor every bite slowly. Don't swear off favorites. You'll only come back for greater portions. Learn to incorporate small amounts in the diet, but concentrate on filling your stomach with less sugary and healthier options. If you want to avoid giving into a sugar craving completely, try chewing a stick of gum. Research has shown that chewing gum can reduce food cravings. Changing your lifestyle from one full of sugary foods to one where you barely eat any at all is a big leap. Your body needs time to adjust and heal. So don't be afraid if you slip back into the habit once or twice when you start. A fall back into old habits doesn't mean you failed. Tomorrow's another chance to stick to that new routine and habits. You won't make up a whole new lifestyle overnight. Reward yourself for successfully managing sugar cravings. Your reward could be large or small. Remember why you're working on it, and then reward yourself for each successful step. So, lasting success. Lastly, go easy on yourself. It may take time to get a handle on your sugar cravings. It's difficult to shift any system, whether it's the world economy or your eating. If you feel like your sweet tooth is becoming a problem physically or mentally, you're not alone. And it's not all in your head. For some of us, a few lifestyle changes will be enough to break our sugar addiction. Others will need medical intervention to overcome the chemical reactions fueling the craving. Whatever your situation, being kind to yourself and open with your healthcare provider can only help. Eliminating sugar cravings is part diet and part mindset. You may need more than one strategy to thwart sugar cravings. One week you may find success with one tactic, and another week calls for an alternative approach. What's important is to have a bag of tricks to try. To tame sugar cravings, you really need to figure out what works for you. It takes time and effort, but when you cut down on those sugar cravings and choose sugar over other nutrient-rich foods, your body will start to respond. Whether your health and wellness goals are all about losing weight, or if you just want to discipline yourself into skipping that candy bar, a few hints and tips can change your life. So do you need to detox from sugar? Let's start by defining our terms. A sugar detox involves cutting all added sugars from your diet for a set period of time, from as little as a week to as long as a month. The premise is that after an initial period of withdrawal, you'll no longer crave sweets the way you do now. Cutting out all simple sugars works for some people, but it's not easy. The initial 48 to 72 hours are tough. Some people find that going cold turkey helps curb their cravings after a few days. Others find they may still crave sugar, but over time are able to train their taste buds to be satisfied with less. The approach works for some lucky people, but it's not the best call for most of us. Detoxing makes sense if you have an addiction to a dangerous substance, but you consume sugar every day in one form or another, so you're never truly cutting it out of your diet. You're just dramatically reducing your intake. I'm not a fan of going cold turkey. I think that it's abrupt and that anything that's too rapid is not going to work long term. If you do a sugar detox, you could get hangry, you could get upset, and the first thing you're going to do is reach for something sweet to make yourself feel better. You're more likely to stick with a new behavior if you're making smart choices and small, reasonable behavioral changes over time. Sugar detoxing isn't helpful for most folks. Some people are able to rip the Band-Aid off and move on. But for the majority of people, that's just not a healthy way to look at it. You'll relapse into your old behaviors, feel ashamed that you couldn't quit sugar, and then you're going to try again. You're setting yourself up for a bad cycle. So talk with someone. Many people turn to sweet foods when they're stressed, depressed, or angry, but food doesn't solve emotional issues. Consider whether emotions are involved in your sugar cravings and whether you need help to find other solutions to those emotional problems. If you feel like your sweet tooth is taking over your life, enlisting the support of your primary care doctor or a healthcare provider like me is an important step to take. The first line of defense is having an open and honest conversation with your healthcare provider. That way you really can get a hold of the issue. That conversation will probably lead to the provider ordering some lab work. We really need to see what you're working with. Do you have elevated blood sugar? Do you have elevated lipids? If you do, that needs to be addressed and taken care of, which may require supplementation along with food changes. So schedule some time with me to talk if you want to know more. And that's a wrap. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at lynn.deboer.johnson@gmail.com or go to my website, feedingyourhealth.com. I have a Facebook group called Sage Wisdom, and you can always schedule a free 30-minute consultation. I'm going to stop the share. And, oh, I suppose I should start my video. All right. So,
Very good.
okay. So, does anybody have any questions? Any thoughts? What are your thoughts on all of this?
I feel like I have sugar for the most part under control, somewhat. I do eat the candy bars. I can eat 3 mini candy bars instead of 1. But also I know that sugar has been known to feed cancer. And
Mhm.
all of us have cancer in our bodies, just if it comes out or not. Isn't that
Yep.
correct?
Yep, we all have, at some point in time can have cancer cells in our body. It's what happens to it. And you're completely right. Yeast, bacteria, fungi, viruses, which are all fed by sugar, can contribute to the development of cancer. Stress and our emotional health also can contribute to that. So it's a whole body process.
Mhm. Yeah.
If we get
And
an
if,
urge, oops,
go
I'm sorry.
ahead,
If we get an urge for some sugar, can we grab an orange, an apple, or a banana?
you can do that. And this is, everybody is individual, right? I personally feel like everybody should have a blood sugar meter in their house. It's how does your own body respond to that orange or apple or whatever. If you have that, and so there's optimal ranges and there's lab ranges. So in my world, we want to keep your blood sugar under 110. Over 110 is when you start getting what I call the apathies, neuropathy, retinopathy, things like that, because the beta cells are starting to develop and they're like crystals in your bloodstream, and they start tearing it, so making like little scratches in the linings of your blood vessels. And so if that orange and apple or whatever works for you, then by all means enjoy that. What I usually ask people to do is, test. If you've never really done it before, just take your little, you can get them for $10, $20 at Walmart. Test right before you eat. And then like every 15, 20 minutes, just test it till it goes down and see how high up it goes. If you find it goes up to like 120, it's like, oh, maybe I should rethink that, at least for this time. There's also factors to consider, like what's your emotional state while you're eating that. If you're upset, that's going to raise your blood sugar. I tell people that if you're upset, it's better to not eat at all and just drink some water or a cup of tea or something, because that's bad for your digestion. It's bad for your blood sugar. It's just not good to eat when you're upset. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So like for breakfast this morning, so I make these smoothie packs. And so I had made some that had diced up sweet potato. It was just raw sweet potato and some of those cutie clementine mandarin type oranges. So I put some of those in there and some sliced up bananas, some sliced up carrots, and I think that was it. There might have been something else. But anyway, I keep those in the freezer. So when I want to make a smoothie, then I just dump it in my blender, and so I added some almond milk and some Greek yogurt and some orange juice, and I blended it up. And it reminded me of a dreamsicle. Do you remember those orange dreamsicles?
Yeah.
And because I had all those other vegetables in there that were fibrous, and then the fat and protein from things like the yogurt and the almond milk, I didn't feel any of that blood sugar. Because what usually happens to me is I just like crash, like, oh, I got to take a nap. And I didn't get that.
Yeah.
So Yeah. Fast and easy.
I was curious, Lynn, if you can tell me a little bit more about how the best way to use holy basil, especially from an oil perspective.
So honestly, the best way is to drink it as a tea because the heat releases those volatile oils. And so when you drink that tea, that's when you get that uplifting, that calmness, your mind relaxes. It's not that you can't use an essential oil or not, I don't think essential oil, a tincture, that's what I was trying to think of. I'm looking at my Materia Medica to see what other forms they have. My favorite way that I've been learning about with tinctures, it's called spagyrics. It's just like a whole nother way of making a tincture.
What is that?
Spagyrics. It's Spagrycs. And they take making the tincture. So when you make a tincture, there's usually a lot of, it's kind of like when you juice and you have all this pulp. Well, you take that pulp and you put it through this whole other process. And you have to do it certain times of the seasons and all that type of thing, but it just has more energy to it. I don't know how else to say it without sounding completely whatever. But yeah, so with the tea, what I like to do is take anywhere from 1 to 3 teaspoons and put it in a cup of water and then I cover it for about 15 to 30 minutes. And you can drink 2 to 3 cups a day.
Wow.
You can do, so the tea is made from the leaf, right? The tinctures are usually made from the leaf as well as the flower. And so that's where you're going to get some really good use of the volatile oils. And there's certain ratios and things like that, but so if you're going to look for a tincture, you want a ratio of 1 to 2 with around 75% alcohol, because that's where you're going to capture the volatile oils nicely. That's if it's a fresh leaf or flower. If they're using dried leaves or flowers, then it's a ratio of 1 to 5 at 50% alcohol. But those are really the 2 ways that I would use holy basil.
Yeah.
Does that help? Okay. And you can grow it.
Interesting.
You can grow your own. Yeah. It is interesting. There's Judy. You must have gotten your, oh, no, you didn't. I was gonna say, did you get it fixed? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got it fixed, and I don't think they can. This is a very old iPad.
Oh,
They won't fix it. They'll just make me buy a new one.
there you go. I always
Yeah.
say she looks like in one of those old black and whites where
Yeah.
it comes in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You're
I
a
have
star.
to hold
Yeah,
to
I'm
make
sure
it
it's a
right.
pain.
Yep.
We got a halo around it.
There you go. Yes.
But
I
I
was
wanted to let you
wondering-
know I was here.
Yes,
I
I
was
saw
late,
you as
but-
you came in. That's okay. There's always the replay. Did
I
you
had a
have any
question.
questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I got interrupted by a Verizon salesman for a couple of minutes though. They want to sell me 5G cable.
Oh, well, there's a whole nother thing that can upset your,
You know, there's a
your-
whole, that's where everybody's going. They're going
I
away from
know,
cable modems to, let's put this 5G thing in your house, and that's
and then that
that's
really
your,
messes up your blood sugar.
mm,
Yep, because it affects the energetics around us. You know, we were talking about the
mm.
environment around us, how that can affect us. And that's
Well,
one of
I've
the
got
things.
Wi-Fi, and I can't imagine managing without Wi-Fi, but
Mm.
going from
Amazing
there to
how we did it,
5G is,
right? Back in the day.
well, the iPad doesn't even have a plug to plug into a network. It's
Oh.
all, it assumes Wi-Fi.
Hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, they do make them those ways now, don't they? Yep. We can't hardwire it in.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Regarding diet,
Yes.
I had a question on, can you trade off some salty things for sugary things?
Well, salt and sugar work together on the effect that they have on your body. And so the trade-off comes with what's, again, going to work best for you. If you've got health issues like maybe cholesterol, high blood pressure, things like that, you may want to rethink the I'm not against salt by any means, but it's how can it affect your body? It's the type of salt you're using. Maybe instead of salt, you use something like kelp powder or sea vegetables for the minerals and the sodium and things like that. So that's where that is. I guess the key thing is to use as many whole foods as possible. So if you're going for that sweet and or salty flavor, you know, you can get some really nice salty flavor off of celery. So adding that to your meals or your snacks. You can put some nut butter on that, maybe with some raisins. Maybe that can help both with sweet and salty flavors. But
Carrots?
again, so how is that affecting your body?
I like carrots. Is
Yeah.
a carrot a good substitute?
Yep. Now, carrots are a little more starchy. And so again, it's checking how is my body being affected by this. Their sugar content raises when you cook them because it releases the sugars. When you're eating them just raw, it's not as bad. I don't know how else to say it, but you know, you've got all the fiber and all that goodness. Like I said, I put some carrots in my smoothie and didn't have a problem with it. Somebody else might have a carrot stick and their blood sugar can go through the roof. That's why I keep saying everybody should have a blood sugar meter in their house. How is your body responding to it? The sugar isn't necessarily the problem. The blood sugar isn't necessarily the problem. They're messengers. They're saying, hey, something's going on here. Pay attention. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing ever wrong with our body. Our body's always kind of in a flux. Every time we eat something, our body changes. Every time you do or don't drink water, your body is changing. And so what all this asks is for us to pay attention. These wonderful bodies that we were blessed with, they house our spirit, they house who we are. And as all of this energy and emotions and whatever force through, um, in relationships and whatever we're doing, you'll see the response, whether we smile, whether we cry, whether we break out in acne, whether we eat things that our body that creates inflammation and we blow up like I feel like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. They're just all signs from our body that, hey, pay attention. You know, because your body is perfectly and wonderfully made just for that reason. And I'm just the messenger. I hope that helps. So there are no foods that are bad. No one food is better than another. It's just how can it bring you to where you want to go? What are your health goals? What is it you want? Do you want to have more energy? Do you want to have a body that moves more? You know, that's what it comes down to.
It helps.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's amazing information. Thanks, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I do have kind of a little announcement. I have just done something new. I call it office hours, because not everybody always wants just to sign up for a coaching package. And so what that means is once a week, I've picked a couple of hours out of each week, and you can sign up for 15 minutes, you can sign up for half an hour, you can sign up for an hour. You know, if you just have some quick questions, you want to pick my brain on something, then maybe the 15-minute one is better. If you want a little bit more, the 30-minute, but maybe you just want this one-time hour-long session to really explore some ideas, then maybe that hour-long session is better. And so you'll be seeing an email coming out with the 3 different links and how to do that. So you get the first glimpse at what I'm trying to help, because that's part of who I am. I'm here to serve. And if I don't have the tool for you, then I need to find out what tool it is you need so that you can get what you need. Yeah. So, any questions?
That sounds good, man.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's amazing.
Well,
I'd
Thank
like
you.
to send you some referrals.
hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing I'm putting together that will probably be ready another week or two. So if some of my coaching clients, if they need it, I do menu planning. And we work on what it is we need, but I have one basic menu plan, and it comes with the recipe book and the shopping list and a food journal and of course the menus. And somebody suggested that they would be interested in just purchasing that. And so I'm trying to get the structure and technology together so that I can offer that. And yeah,
Cool.
so keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah, I have a question, Lynn. How often do you recommend, for everyone's different, of course, to test your blood sugar after?
Right, great question. When you are first doing this, like if you've never done it, I would say for the first week, do it every time after you eat. And so again, well, first of all, do it first thing in the morning when you wake up. Then that's like your fasting blood sugar. And that can actually tell you a lot, because if you do have any bacterias, viruses, things like that going on, they like to party at night. And so if you wake up and your blood sugar is like really high, that's something to explore. As well as your liver and gallbladder in the Chinese medicine clock are most active. The gallbladder is 11-1 and the liver is 1-3. And so between that time, and so if it's working too hard, whether you have a gallbladder or not, your body still produces bile. That's another thing to look at. So anyway, that's why we do first thing in the morning. Do it right before you eat. And then, like I said, every 15-20 minutes after you eat until you see it comes down. And again, when I work with clients, I have a spreadsheet that I give them so that they can keep track. Because then what we do is we write down everything that was in that meal. And we might start to see a pattern. So I usually recommend people do that for at least a week. Some people just keep it up because they're like, wow, I didn't know eating whatever would do that to me. So
I've also discovered that when I'm not totally consistent about doing the fasting blood sugar in the morning, but I've noticed that when I do and it's elevated, though I got to tell you, my baseline is still in the 120s at this point, is the lower number. But when it's elevated, I can say, oh, that's because I had whatever for dinner.
right. And I ate it maybe at 8 or 9 o'clock at night,
Oh,
you know?
Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
yeah, right.
And all it is an awareness. It's, oh, look at that. That's right. I did this. And so it allows you to be able to make a different choice if you choose. Right? This is all about choices, and our choices are neither good nor bad. They just are. And so all of this is information for you to choose.
Yep.
Well, it's 6:30 here in California.
That's right. And I
Yeah.
think it's 7:30 for Lynn Marie, and it's 8:30 for me.
Oh, wow.
So I know.
I'm gonna find a healthy meal for Bill to eat.
There you go.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Miss
Well,
Lynn.
thank you. And
Yeah.
if you ever have any questions, go ahead and let me know.
And this is recorded, Lynn?
Yep, this is recorded. As soon as I get the recording completed, then I put it up into YouTube, my YouTube channel. If you haven't been to my YouTube channel, I encourage you to go there. There's 100 and some videos there.
Oh my Lord.
I've been doing this for a while.
Yep.
Some are shorter than others. And just browse it. But then if you subscribe to it, it's my understanding you'll get noticed when I upload this.
Okay.
And then in my Monday email, I will have the recording link to this in there as well.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Excellent.
Well, God bless.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank
Yeah.
you too.
You too. Thank you.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye-bye.